All right, and let's take a look at your hands-on questions. So let's do, first you write a few lines of code on paper and 5 points each. Let me see, should I do that using whiteboard or just, I think we can just use a whiteboard. Minimize this one. So let's create a new whiteboard. Okay. So the first question, create a list array to hold integers. So you're going to create a list of integers, just list or either list array, so either way. And then use a random number generator to generate 100 numbers and put into the list array. Okay, so if you're going to use, I think array will be simplest, and you can also do list. So if I'm going to use array, then I will start with integer array here, and then just give a name, let's say values equals to new, and then integer. So here I will put, you say 100. Yeah, 100. All right. And then you're going to put generate random numbers. So you need the random number generator. So my generator equals to new random. Okay. And then we're going to generate 100 of these numbers, put into 100 of these subslots. So I'm going to use a for loop. And I less than, you can say 100, right? Or you can say values dot length. I plus plus. And then say values I equals to my generator dot next. So you can put any values, say put in 0 to 100. That's it. That's how you do that using array. If you're going to use a list, answer will be like this. So say create a list first. The list type is going to be integer. And then you can say this is my list equals to new, and then list, the integer here first, then parentheses. So that's a constructor. And then you're going to use you can use word loop. You can use a while loop, a for loop or while loop, either way. So I'm going to use a while loop this time. So to do that, I'm going to declare a counter, integer I equal to 0. So that starts with 0, I count, right? And then I say while I is less than 100, then I'm going to generate numbers and put in the list. Oh, I forgot to declare a random number generator here. So let's say we need generator again. Equals new random. Okay. And then you just need to, every time you declare integer value, let's say integer, say x. Okay. And then say x equals to my generator dot next. So let's say start from, I do not say which numbers, so you can use any numbers. And after that, you can just add this number to the list. So my list dot add x. All right, and then you need to increase this I because the step count has to increase. So I plus plus. And then you go back to while loop again to check, say whether I is still less than 100. If it is, then you do it again, and then add the number again, and then this is how you do. This is how you do list. Okay. So in general, I don't think many people lose points on this question. If you lose maybe minor points, depending on type of errors you make. Next one, write a method to tell if a given integer is more than 3 digits. So again, this is if you through last homework and also exam, I found that few students are still not very comfortable in creating functions, and this is fundamental skill you really need. Okay, so we will do that. Actually, we'll do that this week again with creating functions. So create a method. So first of all, you need to think that what is given. Just think of that black box. Okay, the function is going to do what? First of all, what is given? The function is going to say given the integers. So you need to give an integer. So let's just say n, all right? And then the function will decide whether that the integer is more than 3 digits. So what is the result? Result is yes or no, right? So whether is given, the method tell if or given integer is more than 3 digits. So your result is yes or no, right? Or true or false, okay? So let me just create a function name. Let's say is 3 or more digits, 3 or more. Let's just say or more. Okay, so just give a name like whatever. So you can name that in any way you like. So from this, the diagram, you can just create a function head easily. So that will give you 2 points to begin with. So bool, and then is 3 or more. All right, and then integer n as a parameter. You know that, right? And then the yes or no boolean, right? So that will come to here, okay? And this function name. So now you just need to tell how you do it, okay? I do have a couple of students know how to do it, and I'm pretty surprised that quite a few of you are very intelligent, very smart in finding way to tell whether integer is more than 3 digits or not. So essentially, I think I found that there are three different ways you can tell that whether integer is more than 3 digits. The easiest way is just simply say if n is greater than 100, right? Is greater than 99, then that is going to be more than 3 digits. Okay. Of course, what if n is a negative number? Then n has to be less than 99 and negative 99. Okay. So what we could do is we'll say if n is greater than 99 or n is less than negative 99, then you say return true. And then else return false. Okay. So I think that's probably the simplest solution, because we talk about integer only. Okay. So if you have decimal numbers, then the story is going to be different. But this integer, any integer bigger than 99 has to be 100, 101, so on and so forth, right? So we are checking, say whether it's 3 or more digits, right? So that's all we need. Okay. Now second solution, bool, is 3 or more. The name of function integer n. Okay. The second solution is based on how you you would convert that n into like a text first, and then based on that, based on number of characters in the text, you decide whether it is more than 3 digits. Okay, and that is actually a pretty smart solution. So what it will do is, if n is negative, I will change it to positive first. Okay, and then we'll convert it to text, because if you have negative numbers, then you're going to, converting if you have negative numbers, you convert to string, then the negative sign will become a digit, become a single 1 digit too. So what I'm going to do, I will just say if n is less than 0, okay, less than 0, then I will change the sign back. So make n equals to negative n. Does it make sense? And then we will just, and then I'm going to convert n into text. Okay, so string. Okay, and then just say whatever x, okay, equals to convert to string, and then whatever n will be converted into text. Okay, and now you can just say if x dot length is bigger than equal to 3, then you say return true. Else return false. So by the way, I forgot, I did not put like a curly brackets, and that is okay. If you have only single line after if else, you don't have to have curly brackets. Okay. There we go. So this will be a second way to solve the problem, to program that function to say whether a number is more than 3 digits. And then there's a number 3 way that is actually few students showed up in few students' code. So that let me put the function back again. So the bool is 3 or more, and integer n. Okay. So the third approach is by keep on dividing n by 10, and then until the n until you cannot divide anymore, and then you count how many times you divided. Okay. So if you have n is greater than 99, then greater than 103, more than 3 digits, then you divide by 10. You probably have to divide it 3 times, right? Okay. So again, I'm going to also convert that into positive numbers to begin with. So if n is less than 0, and then I will make n equals to negative n. Okay, so change the sign. And then we're going to use a while loop. So first, I will declare integer count. Integer count start with 0. Okay, and then I will say while n divided by 10 is not equal to 0. Is not equal to 0. Then I will do the division. So I will do n equals to n divided by 10. Okay, and then I will increase the count plus plus. That makes sense? So first time, if you, for example, if you have 100 divided by 10, of course the result is still 10, right? So that then you get n equals to 10, and then you're going back to check again, okay, to say whether it's divided by 0, divided by 10, and you get divided by 10. So let me do it again. So first, let's just say n equals to 100, okay? So first, n divided by 100, that's not equal to 0. So therefore, you're going to do division first. N equals to n divided by 10. So n originally was 100 divided by 10. The n is still will be 10. And then count plus plus. So now you have the count has been increased by 1, right? And then you go back to the loop, and then new n is 10. 10 divided by 10 is not 0, right? So then you're going to do it again. So n divided by 10 divided by 10 shows you'll get a 1. and then you count this plus or again, so count equals to 2 this time. And then you're going to get n equals to 1 going back to this again. So n divided by 1 divided by 10, the result is 0. So then this loop will stop, right? And then finally, if you say if count equal greater than 2, so that means you divided you have done division by 2 times. Then you say return true. Else return false. Okay, and then that's it. This is that's the whole function. So anyway, as long as you get function head correctly, then you know that 2 points will be given to you. And if you do not get code, if you get a code correctly, then 3 points will be given to you. Okay, so that's how these 2 questions are graded. All right, now let me take a look hands-on questions. So basically, you are going to use Visual Studio to create 2 forms and 2 functions. All right. So read the question project for all sub-questions. After you finish, archive, submit. And you need to verify your submission after uploading. Okay, so at this time, I do have one student. She submitted the wrong file. So then that make her the entire thing just kind of voided. So let's just do that using Visual Studio. Okay, so create a method to return that returns the number of days between 2 given days. Okay, so let's create a Visual Studio to do that. All right, let's just create a new project. Let's call that project is exam 2 maybe. All right, let me put, yeah, that's 315. Okay. So we're going to do something on forms, but for now, I will just do the code inside the form. So view code. So let's suppress that. So create a function. So remember what is the question asking you to do. So the question is, returns the number of days between 2 given days. So what is given? 2 days. And then what is output? The number of days between. So if you're going to do a diagram again, so you're going to have something like this. Okay, going to have something like that. First, you have a date 1, and then date 2. So both of them are date time. And then here, you have a number of days. So apparently that's integer, right? Okay, and then we can just give a name, say days in between. Okay, and after that, you will be able to write a function head. So integer, and then say days in between, and then date time. So date 1, and then date time, date 2. So that's just the name of the parameters. This is type. Okay, and then curly brackets, you write the code in here. So let's just do that in Visual Studio. So I'm going to say integer days in between. Okay, data time, data 1, and data time, and data 2. So those are 2 parameters, 2 inputs. Okay, and how do you find the number of days in between? That's pretty easy, right? So use time span. Let's say TS equals to date 1 minus data 2. okay? And then just say return ts.days, right? And then you may say, well, how can I know that, how can I know that which date is larger? So if you want to have that more precise, then you will probably have to do something like this. So if, first of all, let's declare date time, time span first, okay? Okay. And then we'll say if data 1 is bigger than data 2, okay, then we will do this. We'll say TS equal to that. Else, then we say TS equals to data 2 minus data 1. So that is even better, right? Okay. And then what is this one? A namespace cannot directly contain members such as fields or methods. Oh, sorry for that. So this is actually in wrong place. So I suppressed the wrong place. Okay, so let's cut this one, cut the entire thing. So actually you need to go put inside a class, okay, this class, and then suppress this one, okay? And then put functions inside there. There we go. Okay. Does it make sense? Okay, so this when I do grading, I don't think anybody did this. Did they say whether data 1, data 2, which one is the greater? But as long as you know how to find the days between the 2 days and the return that function head is correct, then you get this 5 points easily. Okay. And the next question is create 2 text boxes and for entering 2 days and a label and a button to call the method. So basically testing how you call the functions, okay? So I'm going to just create that quickly. 2 text boxes and 1 button. Let's put a button here first. Okay, so let's give a name for the button. So btn, you say days, okay? And then say days as a label. And then I'm going to create 2 text boxes. So let's just say that is txt1, txt_a, txt_a. And then let's do the same thing for second box. And let's call that txt_b. Okay. And then you also ask for label, so I'm going to just create label down here. So for label, I'm going to just say LBL days. Okay. And then I'm going to call, use this button to call the function we just created. So remember, the function has 2 inputs and 1 output. So you need to prepare 2 inputs. So declare 2 variables, date, time. So D1, D2, okay? And then you need to initialize those inputs. D1 equals to txt_a.text. Then you need to do conversion, right? Convert to data time. Okay. D2 equals to convert to data time, then txt_b.text. Okay. So inputs are initialized, are declared and initialized. And now we need to declare variable for output because this one returns integer, right? So we need to declare output, which is days, okay, as output. Declare that one to receive the result. And then we just call the function. So days will be equal to days in between. So the name of function. And then you put 2 arguments. They are respectively matching the parameter types. So first D1 and then D2. Okay. And then after that, you have value inside this memory block called days, and then we just need to report that using label. So label days.text is equal to days, right? So you need to conversion also. So we'll do convert to this time to string, right? So that is 5 points. So basically testing you how you know how to call a function and prepare inputs and then prepare outputs and then show outputs using one of the labels. So you see that the things we learned in the first period class, how to use a variable to receive data from a form and how to put data back to the form. So that part is the same. Okay. So only thing new for the second period is we know how to organize your code into functions. Okay. So apparently this is the most important subject for the second period. Okay. Now let's do next question. Question 3. Finish the method. So maybe in this case, you finish the method. What does it mean? That the function head is already given to you. Okay. And then you just need to finish the function. Okay. So let's just do that. So I'm going to suppress each function that we do not need. Now just create a new function. So the function start with, I think it's a boolean. And then is in, I think that's a name, right? Is in list. Okay, it's in list. Okay. And then you are given 2 parameters for this question, for this function. One is text s, another one is array of text. So string s, and then string array, say stays, right? So you are going to check to see whether this value, this state, this whatever was s, is one of the states in here. Okay? If yes, then you return true. Otherwise, you return false. Okay? So in this case, let's say we will initialize, trying to declare a result like a Boolean result. Okay, let's say result, and let's initialize that to what? Let's initialize it to we can initialize to false. Okay, I will explain to you. Just say how why you initialize to false. Okay, and then I'm going to use a loop. Okay, use a loop to check to see whether each of these state is same as this s. Okay, so I'll just do for. You can use for each or for loop. So let's use for loop. So integer I equal to 0. Okay, and I less than stays dot length. Okay, and then I plus plus. Okay, and then say if stays I, the value is equal to s, then we are ready to return. We can just say return true, right? So we found the solution. We found the solution. So when you return that, then the loop will be broken. Okay, and then the loop, the whole thing will be finished. And then after the loop, you do not return. That means there's nothing matching. Then you say return false, right? Return false. So you know what? This one we did not even use this variable. We did not even use. So in the middle, if we found one matching, we return true. Otherwise, in the end, we say return false. That means we have not found the solution. Okay, and I think that should be way the way you can do it. Some of you use a special function called contains. That is special function for list. Let me see whether that is available for array. I think probably not. Let me check. For array, you are going to say states dot contains, or it does have contains. So let me try to do this. Okay, let's say return states, then dot contains, then contains s. We do that. Contains string s. So that is okay. Yeah. So then if you use that, then this is even simpler. So you can use array states that contains, say whether that array contains s. So then you do not need it. You don't need even all that. So just do something here. Okay, return that, and then this part you don't really need it. You can just comment this out. Does it make sense? So that means just say whether this state contains that. So if you did that, that's okay. I was not expecting you to do that, but it's not wrong. Okay. So correct way should be this. So you need to use a for loop or for each loop, go through every value, every sub blocks of states to say whether any one contains s. Okay, so this is 5 points. And of course, this one function head is already given to you. So I'm just looking for your code. Okay, so the code is worth 5 points. And then let me go to last question. So this question asks you to create an array of 5 states that supported Trump in the 2020 election, and create the list box to show the states, and then call the method in part 3 to tell if Ohio is in the list. Okay, let's do that. So for this one, I'm going to, first of all, I will create the list box. Okay. So let's just give a name for the list box. Let's call that LSB states. Okay. So that will basically just show the states inside the list, inside the array or list. Create array, okay? And then we'll create a button to call the function. Okay, so let's say to give a button name, let's call that a btn check. Okay. And then let's give a name, let's say in list. Okay. All right, so I'm going to create a button. The button will do all things state here. So first of all, you need to create an array to hold put 5 states in there. So array string, let's say states equals to new string, string, and then let's say 5. And then you're going to put the values into it. States 1, state 0. Let's just say that is Ohio. States 2, 1, sorry, 1. That is what? Michigan? Is it? State, anyway, it's just a value, and then next one is Texas. State 3. Close to, I think Florida is right. Okay, states 4. Create one more. State, what is one more state? Which one? Alaska? Okay, so we have 5 states. So that just answer the question here. So you need to follow the guideline. Okay, create the 5 states and create a list box to show the states. So the next step is show the list box. So LSB box, that data source, right? Data source is equal to the list. So that would be states. Okay, so that answer that question. Okay, and then you need a call function to tell whether Ohio is in the list. So to call this function, let's say what do we need? We need 2 arguments. There's 2 inputs, right? One for the state that want to check, say whether it's in the list. Okay, so we already have a list that is a states. Okay, states. Okay, so we just need to declare a variable and then initialize that. So that's s. So we'll do that. That is basically just string, and then just say string s equals to Ohio. Initialize that. Okay, so now we are ready to call the function. So to call this function, we need to declare a variable for the result. So that will be boolean. Boolean. Let's just say is in. Okay. And so after we have input and output ready, so we are ready to call the function. So is in is equal to the name of function is in list. Is in list. Okay. And then you will give you prompts for what are the inputs you should provide, and they are respectively as, comma, and stays here. Okay. All right. So you just need to have a way to show the result. Let's just use a message box. Okay. So message box. The show. Okay. Is Ohio in the list? Okay, question mark. And then I will put a yes or no, a plus true or false, a variable is in. So that will be converted to true or false. Okay, so you may have other ways to report, but this is just one example. All right, and that is all your hands-on questions. Let me stop for a second to see whether anybody have questions.
Hey, Professor.
Yeah.
So I had a question about Boolean. So if we don't state in a message box, like, or anything else, so the user like never knows if it's true or false unless it's stated in like a message box or a text box.
I cannot hear the voice.
Okay.
The sound is,
can you hear me better?
Yeah, speak louder. Yeah, just do it again.
Okay. So if so for Boolean, if a user is clicking and just like doing it, if you don't code message box or text box, like the user never knows if it's true and false, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. In the background.
Yeah. So basically, if you don't tell what is the result Boolean or whatever, then user will not be able to tell. Yeah. So what you could do is instead of a message box, you can also use radio buttons. Say true, one button selected, another false, another button selected. You can also use instead of message box or text box.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, use a radio button, true, false. Yeah. Any other questions? No more questions? Is everybody there? Okay. All right, and if there's no more questions, let me say what I would do for today. Just let you know that this Wednesday we I did not know that Wednesday is actually a holiday, so we will not have a class. So I uploaded week 10 outline, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, week 10 outline. And so for week 10 outline, I was assuming that we are going to finish that, but apparently we don't have time to do that. So our class will end in 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I will create, we'll do two more functions. And then for the main thing we are going to do, we will probably have to leave till next week. And then accordingly, your homework will be different. So I will give you a different question to do, because we were not going to finish. We're not going to cover this lecture on Wednesday this week. So I'm going to give you a different questions to do. Okay. So those questions should be posted by tonight, no later than tomorrow morning. All right, including multiple choice questions, and then it will be due next Monday. Okay, and then with this coming Wednesday, we will not have a class. All right, so few students have still problems with how to create functions, a function head, especially writing function head. So let me just try to do few more functions, few more functions, yeah, and then we'll see. Yeah, I think we can do example 1 or 2 in this 15 minutes. Okay, so everybody follow me. So I'm going to instead of creating a new project, and I'm going to just using the same function, same place to create the functions. Okay, so let's do the very first one. The very first one, according to lecture note, let me clear, that's not a one. So lecture note number 10, okay, the first one says, create a function that returns the factors of the integer. And we did the factorization some while ago. We do like a while loop, learning how to do while loop, okay? So basically this function is, say, if I give you an integer and I want you to give me a list of prime factors. Okay, so in that sense, the function head will look like what? So always draw function diagram like what we did in all classes. And first of all, create a box. Okay, just imagine this box is a function, and then say what is going to be input. Input in this case is simply just integer, right? And what is going to be output? Output is going to be all factors, like 2, 3, 5 prime factors, right? So what we do is I will just create the list for that. List of integer. Then whatever, okay, list that they say factors. So that's going to be output. And then let's just give a name. Let's say this is a factorization. Okay. So after you have this diagram, then it's pretty easy. Then you create a function head, right? So let's just do that using Visual Studio. Okay. So list integer, and then factorization. Okay. Integer n. So what do we do? First of all, let's just create let's create the list. That the list will hold all the integer, hold all the prime factors, and then we keep on dividing by 2, and then 3, like that, right? So we will use. So let's just create the list first. List integer. Let's just say that is result. Okay, equals to new list. And then we are going to, so what we're going to do is we're trying to say whether 2 is a factor. So we were trying to divide by 2, okay? And then if n divided by 2 is, so we will do that for all, so while n divided by 2, remainder is not is equal to 0, is equal to 0. So that means factor n, the integer n has a factor 2. Then I'm going to do the relative division. So n equals to n divided by 2. Okay, and then we will add 2 to the factor. So the result dot add 2. Okay, and then after that we'll go back to this loop again. So use new n after you divide by n. So suppose n equals to 4, right? And then 4 divided by 2, you have 2. 2, and go back, and 2 divided by 2 is still, remainder is still 0. So then you do it again. Okay, so you just keep on doing that. Okay. And then what is next? Next, we are going to divide by 3. So after you divide by 2 out, divided by 2, every 2 has been out. Then we only deal with odd numbers. Okay, so then we're going to use for loop first. So for loop for integer and I equals to 3. Okay, and I less than n, right? And I equals to I plus 2, equals to I plus 2. So we increment by 2 because we only check 3, 5, 7 like that. We do not need to check 2 even numbers anymore, right? Okay. So after that, we are going to use a while loop similar to that, and we'll divide by I. So while n percentage sign I is equal to 0, then we divide by I. Okay. So then n equals to n divided by I, and then we add I to the list. So result dot add I. So after that, after these 2 loops, then this list should have a result you're looking for. So return result. Okay. So basically, I think if you check the answer lectures we did, probably I think 2 weeks ago, we did that. Okay. So now we just simply merely put those code into a function. Okay. So this is example 1. So I still have like 5 minutes, right? So I think we can do one more function and then we stop. So the next one is create a method that defines the max, mean, average, and the variance of a list of decimal numbers. So what is given is a list of decimal numbers, okay? And what are the outputs? Well, there are quite a few, right? So this time, when I do gradings, I found that quite a few students do something like this. So they put, for instance, like an integer. So let me put a whiteboard here. So they did something like this, like here, integer, comma, integer, comma, integer, and then have functions and find something, right? Find something. Okay, and then have some kind of function of parameters. So I don't know what are they trying to do. They probably just they probably think that this is output, this output, this output, and that's not a way to do it. Okay, what you need to do is you need to put this inside here and use out parameter each one. Okay, each one as out parameter. So in our case, we are given a list of data. Okay, so data is some kind of list, a list double maybe. And then what will be output? Where you have quite a few. You have a max, you have a mean, you have sum, you have average, and you also have a standard deviation, right? All of them will be double, right? So what we need to do is for each of this, I will put inside, put into as, let's give a name here. Let's just say this is stat, okay? Stat. So you're going to create void. The function does not return anything, and then say stat, okay? And then put input parameter, which is a list, say list double, and then this data. And then for each output, you use out, and then in the data type, say double, and then say max here, comma, and then out, double, minimum, out, double, say average. Okay, so continue. So for each output, you're going to use output parameter, Okay, now let's do that. Let's put that inside the Visual Studio. Okay. Okay, so let's collapse this function first, and I'm going to create a void stat. Okay, so list of double, and let's call the data, and then we have out double max, out double minimum, out double average, out double sum, and out double variance. Okay, so if there's any other statistics, you can just keep on adding. Okay, so this function will return all of them. So what we need to do is we're given the data and then trying to find the max, mean, and average. So this time I will do that using one loop. Okay, so first of all, I need to get like a sum. So we declare variable, declare, okay, declare say sum, okay, and then square sum, and also declare max. Do I need a max? I don't need to declare max because the max is already there. Okay, we just needed that. Okay, and then I'm going to use for loop. Let's use for each. Okay, for each double x in data. Okay. All right. And then we are going to, so first of all, we need initialize. Okay, sum will be initialized to 0. I already told you that, right? Sum initialized to 0, square sum also. What about the mean and the max? So for mean and the max, I'm going to initialize to the first elements. So data 0. And the max also, data 0. I think I told you that trick, right? And then we are ready to do, okay? So first of all, sum will be equal to sum plus x, okay? Square sum will be equal to square sum plus mass data power. Okay, so we'll use data i's item squared. We're trying to find the squares or data I. Okay. So this one will get your data. So which is, no, sorry, this is x actually, x. So we are not using integer. We are not using index. We only use like use x. So for each x, we create a sum. So that basically just sum of x, and then we do sum of their squares too. Okay, sum of their squares. And then what about the mean and the max? So we'll do simply just swap. So if x is greater than max, and then I will swap. So max will be equal to x. Okay. So that is case when we have max. So what if x is less than mean, less than the current minimum? Then we swap to. So then we make a mean equals to x. Okay. So after all that, then eventually the max will be the minimum of that, and the sum will be the sum. Okay. And then we are ready to calculate average. So AVG will be equal to sum divided by data length, data count, right? Data count. Okay. So that's average. And then what about the average? Sum, minimum already have that, maximum, average. And then we already have a sum, so we do variance. So variance will be equal to square. So basically square sum, and then minus data dot count, that's n times the mean squared, average squared. So mass data power dot power, and then avg dot comma 2. So that's squared. And then the whole thing, this whole thing divided by data dot count. Okay. So let's take a look, see whether we have, what about this one? This is some, what is here? Double sum, what's happening here? Double sum, a local parameter named sum cannot be declared in this scope because the name is used in, I think we use, did we use sum somewhere here? Oh, sum is already in here. Okay, sorry. So we do not need to declare sum. Sum is already declared here. So that's extra. Okay. So other than that, and I think this is okay. So basically, you just need to declare a variable called square sum, and then initialize sum to 0, square sum to 0, minimum to the first element, maximum to the fourth element, and every time we find x, if x is greater than the max, then you change it to, you set that to new max. If a value is smaller than this minimum, then you change the mean. Okay. So this is what this function will do. All right, and I think I told you the new formula for calculating variance. So this one, you just basically did everything in one loop, right? So basically, you do not have to use 2 loops, 3 loops to find a mean, max, and the standard deviation separately. Just one loop, you get everything. Okay, and I think we are running out of time. Let me see whether anybody have questions. I will stop here.